We back, we back, we welcome back to my channel. Let's enter the world of the crime scene where every case tells a story that demands to be heard. So, as the title suggests, today we'll be covering the AKA and Tibz murder. And this one is a sad one for me because everyone who knows me knows I love AKA. But guys, okay, I'm gonna try to keep it together and let's get right into it. Honestly, this was one of the most shocking and tragic stories that have ever hit the South African entertainment scene. The 10th of February was a very tragic day for South Africa and honestly, the whole of Africa. AKA and his longtime friend Tibz was shot and killed outside of a Durban restaurant. Multiple suspects were arrested and Bheki Cele was even overseeing this case. So let's start with AKA. He was born on the 28th of January 1988 and he was 35. Just 35, guys. 35. That is so young to die. But yeah, he was 35 when he died. Also, what is this thing doing? Why is it like this? AKA was one of the most influential hip-hop artists in this country and on the continent of Africa. He began his career in the early 2000s, but Alter Ego, that debut album, it set him off. It set him off, guys. Personally, the first song that I ever heard from AKA, he's a beast, he's a problem though. Guys, I still can't believe it. But beyond music, AKA was a businessman and a savvy one at that. He was also known for his very strong personality on social media, specifically Twitter. If you know, you know. Tibz was also a very close friend with AKA and he actually had a very big role in AKA and just his career. Now let's get more into Tibz while we are on the topic. He was born 1981 or 1982. I really like it. They keep changing it every article is like 1981 or 1982. But either way, he was around 41 years old. That's also a very young age to die. That is tragic. Tibz was also a media personality and of course, as we all know, he was a chef from Katlehong. He also co-founded a clothing brand, Head Honcho. Now we know that Tibz was a chef and he also had a very popular restaurant that attracted a lot of celebrities. He had such a vibrant personality and really good networking skills. Now let's get a little bit into the timeline of events of that fateful morning. On the 10th of February, AKA and Tibz were shot outside the Wish restaurant in Durban. So the incident happened as they were leaving. And moments before the attack, the two saw each other, shared a very warm hug, and it's very clear to see that they were very, very happy to see each other. A little while later, the shooter approaches, goes straight to AKA and shoots him right in the head. It was clear that he specifically wanted to shoot AKA. He was probably waiting for him to leave the restaurant. The witnesses report hearing multiple gunshots. The bullet was not meant for Tibz. He just got caught in the crossfire and caught a stray bullet. Both AKA and Tibz were pronounced dead on the scene. Witnesses described utter chaos, as one would expect. So, a side note, I remember going on Twitter and seeing RIP AKA on my trending list, and I'm like, nah, that can't be. So it's just one of those things where they say someone is dead and it's not, and someone believed it and now they're running with it. That's what I'm thinking, but clearly not, because at that time I think it was around 3 a.m. where I'm seeing that, or 2 a.m. I'm not quite sure. There were no news publications confirming it, nothing. It was just people, like random people, saying AK had been shot and killed in Durban. So because of that, I kind of just like brushed it off, but I was like, could it be? I woke up in the morning, first thing I did was go on Twitter, and it had been confirmed. That morning, the news of the murder spread like wildfire. I mean, it was everywhere. I remember even just like going to work that day, every car was just bumping AKA. Oh man, damn. Nobody could believe it. It was such a shock. It was such a shock. Personally, my friends were like, I'll never get to see him perform again. AK was really loved by South Africans. So after we had all found out, there was outpouring grief from the fans, the people in the music industry, and some celebrities as well from overseas. On the 13th of February, roughly 2-3 days after the murder, the police announced that they will be investigating the murder. At the time, the police said the shooter had prior criminal records, and they had believed he had a vendetta against AK. Now, the reactions from the public, from musicians, everyone was just shocked and in grief. I had never seen something like that, honestly. Like, I think just a similar thing I've seen was like when Michael Jackson died. It was that kind of grief. It was a superstar, guys. AK was a superstar, and a superstar had died. He had been shot and killed. People were in disbelief, people were angry, and people demanded justice. Candlelit vigils were held to honor AKA and his influence in the hip-hop music industry. Now, of course, there were some theories and conspiracies around the murder and death of AKA. Some believed that it was due to some rivalries within the industry, and some believed it was to do with things in his more personal life that have to do with Anele Tembe. So because of that, people really thought that his death was connected to the death of Anele Tembe, his late fiance. Now, South Africans called for a swift and transparent investigation. The public just wanted answers, guys. We just wanted answers. After an extensive amount of investigation, February of this year, 2024, 5 suspects were arrested. The 5 suspects were believed to be involved in the planning and execution of AKA. Unfortunately, guys, a year and a couple of months later, the trial is still ongoing and there hasn't been any final verdict yet. And what I know about South Africans and how they love AKA, no one is going to forget about this. No one is going to forget. We want to know some answers. We need to know who did this. It is believed there are 2 suspects who are 2 brothers who are outside of South Africa, specifically in Eswatini, and police are working on extraditing them to South Africa. Before I forget, there was a transaction of 800,000 Rand, and they believe that that transaction is linked to the murder of AK. I believe it too. But that suspect is still under scrutiny and not behind bars. Okay, so now my thoughts and opinion. I believe that this murder was not random. He was definitely targeted. He was watched from when he landed in the airport. And I stand with some of my South Africans when they say it somehow has to do with the death of Anele Tembe. It is linked somehow. Now, who's the mastermind? I'll leave for you guys to say. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys at the next crime scene.